Many luxury brands today are parts of larger industrial groups. That gives them the benefit of international reach and deep pockets. But how do you maintain a distinctive brand within this larger setting? We're at the Luxury Society Keynote Conference in London, and our next guests are Katharina Flohr of Faberge and Patrick Coute, who's the Managing Director of Herve Leger. Welcome very much to here to INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Well, you're both part of larger industrial concerns. Herve Leger is part of BCBG.
Indeed.
Faberge is now part of Gemfield's mining group. It kind of gave you both a new lease on life. Let me begin by asking you what these resources mean for your business. I'll start with Faberge because that's kind of interesting. You've got your mining gems and you're going to put them in the eggs.
Absolutely. Well, for us, obviously Faberge has gone through a great transition over the course of almost 100 years now. And our merge with Gemfields brings for us a consistency of supply of high quality, extraordinary gemstones. And it also enables us to incorporate traceability and ethical mining and bring that into the game and combine it with a luxury goods product.
And for Herve Leger, it's tough sometimes to just have a single brand, even though this one had been around since the early 70s.
Yeah, indeed, the brand goes back to its creator, his original creator, Mr. Leger in Paris, and was acquired by the current group, BCBG Max Adria, in the year 2008. In parallel to Katharina has just said, in fact, the benefits are similar in as much that being part of a bigger structure gives us access to reliable production resources, and the BCBG as a business has the advantage of already being present in several markets with these other fascia, the BCBG Max Adria label. Therefore, they have established an existing relationship in a certain market. This gives them a platform to develop Leger further in new market. And back to the product itself, of course, their vertical structure allows us to access production resources which are considered reliable and allow us to present a product with the high amount of integrity to our customers.
I think clients today, expanding on a global network basis, are looking for consistency, transparency, and to continue in that stability vein that strengthens the brand.
And are you finding this too for Leger?
Maybe we are beginning to speak about a possible new trend amongst which is the value of the artisan somehow. And that's where historical background of brand leaders might come into play. So there are some very steady partners in the market when we think of Hermès making saddles for 120 years, or Vacheron Constantin making watches since 1755, or Prada making luggage since 1890, and to another extent, on a much more recent basis, Leger making bandage dresses since, I don't know how, Monsieur Leger in 1972. So the two issues really. If you remain a player in a given market for 50 years, it's probably because you are quite good at it.
I was going to ask too, I mean, because actually the design making was stopped by the Russian Revolution. I mean, you haven't really.
Well, we launched in 2009 with a small collection of high jewelry, and we've been growing since then. We launched the next collection in 2011 and expanded into eggs, and are producing, obviously, expanded into eggs once again, and we are producing high jewelry egg pendants and small egg pendants and egg-related objects once again.
Now, I remember when the Paris shop of Faberge closed. It was kind of a sad day, and it wasn't that long ago. Are you opening up actual Faberge shops again?
Yes, we are. We have, since 2009, a shop in Geneva. We opened in 2011 in December the London branch, and last year we opened the New York branch. And in the meantime, we've got a business model which is a combination of our own shops with franchise partners as well, and a wholesale model. So we're sort of seeing how it goes along as we progress on a worldwide basis.
And what about Herve Leger? Where are you? I know you have your shops.
The group has a approximately 15 stores on the US market. And in Europe has a flagship in Paris, a shop in Geneva. The London flagship opened in September 2009. More recently, Dubai and Abu Dhabi have also got their own standalone leisure shop. In Dubai, it's located in the Mall of Emirates, and in Abu Dhabi in a shopping mall connected to a luxury hotel. The latest addition is in Luxembourg and also in Moscow, where Léger opened about 5 weeks ago.
Who would you say your customers are? I mean, you've said where they're selling, but what kind of person is buying these things, and what kind of price points are we talking about?
Well, I'd say you've got the young aspirationals who are buying into the entry-level egg pendants, which we start selling at around about $3,000 starting point, all the way up to the collectors, and they're looking for extraordinary objects and items of sort of one-off nature, and those go up to several millions. So it's quite diverse, actually. We've got a kind of two-tier approach with clients. So you've got the collectors, you've got the very wealthy and the global travelers, as well as you've got a following of young, let's call it jeunesse dorée, who have discovered that Faberge is something they might have heard about in their family, or they're obviously cultured and well-traveled as well, and they reminisce about Faberge's wonderful past. And Faberge is once again on the market as a cool new product, something that they aspire to have. And I always think of it as, in terms of, let's say, female things that you want to have. You want to have a piece of Chanel, a piece of Hermes, and I guess maybe now, hopefully, a piece of Faberge again. And
you're doing most of the creative work. You are the creative director.
Yes, I am. I have two hats, sort of like.
Wow. And you're the businessman.
I am more than the creator.
But it's pretty creative to be a businessman in a creative business.
It is, indeed. And I think you have to have an affinity with design and being sensitive to the attributes of the product. So our customer profile is also rather varied, in as much that there might be core customers that have known the brand for some years and have purchased regularly, and I describe them as léger fashionistas. Somehow they hungrily wait for the new collections to appear in store, and are already rather informed about the direction of the styling for the next season, the new colors or new development on the new permutation on the collections. Younger customers, some of them may be a little more influenced by celebrities who endorse the brand very heavily. Léger appears on red carpet events regularly in the west coast of America, and that sort of has, creates a type of need in some consumers' mind.
So the brand ambassador, you both kind of mentioned that obliquely. How important is the brand ambassador? In your case, it's probably just anybody who's glamorous wearing it on a red carpet somewhere. So.
Well, obviously the styling being what it is, the physical attributes of the customer is rather important in making the buying decision, because I would say on the whole customers have a voluptuous chest and rather firm bottoms. Otherwise, although the Spanx or lapel or any other kind of shapewear can come to a rescue to continue to enhance the presentation, but indeed it's for the starting point is somebody who is rather well put together, inverted comma. And indeed, the Léger enhancement does nothing else other than embellish the raw materials.
But how would you select the person who's shown wearing your jewelry? I mean, you don't have the same physical demands, obviously, as he does.
Well, you see, we also have male collectors, and we also have men wearing egg jewelry and cufflinks and watches and things like that. So we fill out the whole spectrum. even though it's not as voluptuous, fortunate by nature. But however, for us, I mean, luckily we have a number of celebrities approaching us actually saying, can I borrow something? Can I wear something? So we have a selective process where we obviously discuss internally which profile suits, let's say, the framework of the personality, their activities, what they're engaged in, and their movies, their films, their appearances.
Well, you do have expansion plans. You're planning on opening other boutiques.
Yeah. It's become a family business, again, I would say, almost like, because we're actually quite closely knit. We are operating out of London. We have obviously our stores in Geneva, New York, and London, and we've got various partners in the Middle East, in Asia, and continuing to build the network around the world.
Now, in terms of Hervé Léger, the financing is always tricky, and the fickle taste of the public can make continued sales a little bit difficult. How can you make sure that the brand is out there and you're not perhaps being hit by the vicissitudes of an economic turndown, or because you're not up there with the Faberge?
I think markets are what they are. You know, we live in a cycle, in a business cycle, which is somewhat tighter than the one that we have known before 2008. There have been various ripple in the equity market during that year, and then in residential property in 2009, following the ripples of the financial market the previous year. And since then, we are in a market which is certainly active, but not with a capital A, maybe. Some periods are more sluggish than others. I mean, we hear of retail bars in France being extremely compressed at the moment. And on the whole, European economies are described as being rather sluggish. Even though our customers are not counting their pennies at the end of the month in a way that a high street consumer might be doing, maybe the influences they hear from the media and financial papers and television programs and all the things that are around them all day long might at the end influence them in their buying decision. So the frenetic need they had to purchase in the golden years of the mid 2000s might just be over for some time. And we might be in a market with slightly more austere conditions. Nonetheless, the market is there.
Well, I think there's two things. You do have the ultra high net worth on paper who are obviously after tax in a very high income bracket, but we also find there are a term we came up with newly, which are the highly indebted individuals.
It's most of the world.
Who are actually a growing number, and as a matter of fact have a very spontaneous behavior. Who will come into a shop and pick up an array of expensive goods for gifts or to commemorate an occasion. So I think we don't focus only on the ultra high net worth or the high net worth because, as you say rightfully, the shopping patterns differ very much. There are a lot of wealthy people who just don't buy jewelry, and there are a lot of affluent young people, especially from the Far East, who are buying jewelry because it has this inherent value, and obviously who are entering the market from a non-classical approach because they love the brand, because they buy expensive cars and good wines, and for them, let's say, the value lies in the connection and the association with the history, with the heritage, and that sort of value perception that's been there since generations. So it's quite interesting.
So let me end by asking, did you have something else?
The Black American Express concept has done a lot for the retail market. The second card holder sees the credit limit as the target spend rather than the credit limit. Yeah, there are lots of there are lots of disposable income in the market. Whether it's already in the bank account, whether the settlement amount is already in the bank account or not, will always remain a question.
jewelry is a commodity in many, many countries, and let's face it, it's something you can give easy, and it's not the size of a car. It's not as big as real estate,
extremely
so
giftable.
It's quite rewarding. Exactly. We're seeing obviously lots of new interest from, I call it the stans. So you've got the Uzbekistans, the Kazakhstans, the Azerbaijans, and of course other places that traditionally haven't been classical hubs for the luxury goods industry, which is areas in Indonesia, and of course Africa as well, very important parts of Africa, both South Africa, Nigeria, very, very strong customer base now.
Let me end by asking you about your outlook for luxury goods in the coming year, because I think the time span in which we can actually predict anything has shrunk considerably. Would you like to start, Patrick?
In today's market, most things are unpredictable. In the way Katharina has described that a consumer can push the door in the store with completely unexpected in his buying pattern. I think it's an environment that will stay with us for certainly quarters to come. I mean, the whole of this year, maybe some of next year. Consequently, I think consumers will buy luxury goods in a spontaneous or opportunistic way rather than strategic somehow. And hopefully all luxury brands, talking about luxury as a whole, will continue to present products that inspire people. And what better solution than inspiring the consumer and delivering a product that he wants to buy, both for its qualities, integrity, its styling, its heritage, and the way we polish it somehow.
Yeah, I think also I agree with you. It has a lot to do with desirability, and I think, I mean, we're finding that that end of the market is not as volatile as long as people are becoming more and more successful. The rich are becoming larger in number and also younger by age group. The demand for luxury goods is rising. I think it's very much about wanting to have something that goes often beyond reason. You just know you need to have it. So it's irrational desire for something extraordinarily beautiful. And that's what Faberge is about, and no doubt that's what
the ownership of the Faberge egg pendant is not an essential need in today's life. So I mean, the dynamic of the decision to acquire one is purely based on something personal, and the appreciation of a beautiful object that just gives a very warm feeling of pleasure.
We all need beauty in our lives.
And exactly.
Yes, I always say we don't need many things, but we need to want to have them.
That's the beginning of a dangerous conversation. The notion of need has been redefined in the recent past.
That's true.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Katharina
Thank you.
and Patrick,
Pleasure
for being
talking
with us
with
on
you.
INSEAD Knowledge.
Thank you.